Today we're starting a section on Xrefs, and Xref stands for an external reference, and so we're referencing other drawings into the drawing we're using. This is a really powerful tool, and we use it all the time, and I guess in production world and consulting firms or anywhere you're doing, I guess, major CAD work. And the nice thing about it is that you can open up a file and you can see another file in the background. That's the X reference. And you can draw over the top of it, and you can touch it to some degree, but you don't have to be worried about accidentally messing it up in any way. And so that's it's a really powerful tool. It allows us to work in multiple drawings at the same time, and people in different offices. You can have the same file open in the background as a reference, and it's not locked up because someone has it open, and multiple people can see it. And share it between themselves. And you can also reference in multiple drawings at the same time. So if I'm in the road section, I could be referencing in structures and the survey and the hydraulics people's work. And I could see all the stuff they have in their files at the same time I'm working in my own file and not tying up theirs and they're not tying up mine. And so this is, again, a really powerful tool. So we're getting into that today. It's kind of I don't know if it's really an advanced topic, but it's definitely a mainline kind of production CAD work piece. And so today we've got two files in your folders, and if you've got open them up here, you should have survey and you should have ICA 7 or lesson 7 ICA in there, and we're going to open lesson 7 ICA, and the survey is when we're going to X reference into it through that. So that's going to be when it's going to be in the background, and this is quite common that we'll take our survey data that comes in from the surveyors and we leave that as a reference file, and we don't want to draw in it. We want to do our design in the same file because we don't want to mess up the surveyor's file because that's theirs. They measured everything in the field and they created this file for us as a good background one. And we don't want to accidentally delete things out of it that we wouldn't know how to get back into it or not realize that we deleted things out of it accidentally. And so we use it as an Xref, and it's kind of a layer of security we've got in our files. And I should note, I recorded this and the recording didn't work. I'm redoing this now late at night. And I guess to make up for having to redo this, I'm eating Cheez-Its with the dog. So if you hear rustling in the background, that's me eating Cheez-Its because I'm mad about having to redo this. So we're going to open up ICA 7, and I've got that up here as I'm in AutoCAD here, and I have ICA 7 open. And when you open it up, you're probably going to get some error messages saying that it can't find SHX file or it can't find some other file. Just click ignore. This happens all the time on AutoCAD. Just always click ignore and you'll be fine. So here's my lesson 7 ICA, and when I bring in my Xref, I can put it on any layer I want to, and I'm going to put this on in a layer. I'm going to bring over my layer files here. So I've got my layer tool open. You can get there by, if you go to view and you click on where'd layer go? I'm in a different view. Here's my layer properties. I got to turn on here in my layers, and it's from the home menu. And if you look at the instructions, it tells you that we're going to make a file called Xref. And the nice thing is when we bring a referenced file in, it puts it onto whatever layer we tell it to, whatever layer we want it on to. And that way, if we turn that layer off that file lives on, it shuts the whole thing off and you don't see it anymore. So it's a quick way to manage it. If we were to leave it on the 0 layer, which is our default layer, that's not very good because we use 0 layer for a lot of other things. And we don't really want our Xrefs living on that file or that layer. So I'm going to create a new layer. So here's my layer dialog box. Here's my new layer button. And it's going to be called Xref. Use all caps just for kicks. And I'm going to make that active by using this layer manager with the green check marks. And so you can see now it is active because it got the green check mark on it. And I can move this out of the way now. The other way to check and see what layer you're actually on is up here in the layer. Here's our layer dialog box. And whatever is showing in there is what the active layer is. So I'm in Xref. I just made this layer called Xref, and it's on. And now I'm ready to bring in my file and start my Xref for that. There's two ways to do that. I can type in the command, which is xattach. And that will bring up this dialog box, and you can attach it that way. I can also go to Insert, Reference, and I can attach things. And so I could attach that file. Make sure, if you don't see your files in there, make sure you got the right file types. And so I'm going to do drawings, DWGs, and here's my lesson 7. I'm going to attach survey, and we click open. Now you're going to get a dialog box. It should be popping up here in a second. There we go. And you've got 2 different reference types. Attachment is the more complicated one, or the better one. Typically, overlay is a more simple version of it. You can't do as much with it. So we're going to use a reference type of attachment. You can change the scale, and you can change the insertion point. Sometimes these are checked as do them on screen. We don't usually like that. So I like to tell it I want all my scales to be 1 to 1, 1, 1. So it's coming in the same scale as the drawing I have open, which in this case is lesson 7 ICA. Insertion point, I like to usually insert everything at 0, 0, 0 unless I have a really good reason not to put it at those coordinates. And that means that the coordinate system I'm using in both lesson 7 ICA and survey are the same. So they'll line up on top of each other. And this is normally how we do it. Path type, we can change this. We can do a full path or no path. I'm not sure what that would do for you. Relative path is a good choice. And that way, if we ever move these files, as long as they move together and they're in the same directory, it'll find them and everything will be fine. And I'm ready to go then. So I'll just click OK. And it should be about to load up then. My file will take a few seconds. There it goes. All right, so loaded maybe a little longer on your computers. Right. And now I can see this is what's in survey. And I can zoom in and out on it and move it around. Right. This is not in the file I have open. It's not in lesson 7 ICA. This is actually just a reference. You can see it. It's referenced in from survey. And if I bring back over my layer dialog box, I can prove this by if I turn off the layer it's on. So when you attach an Xref, it attaches it on the layer that is currently active. And so we made this layer Xref, I made it active, and then I attached to my file. That file lives on this layer. If I turn this layer off, this current layer doesn't like that, so let's make something else current. And now if I turn it off, right, it turns off the entire file. And I can turn it back on, and there it comes back in again. And so it is attached to that file named Xref. And so I can control this. If I don't want to see it for some reason, I can turn it off then from that. Now that I'm in it, if you look through the instructions, I'm going to do a few things. One of them is even though this is an Xref file, I can make changes to it. Slight changes. If I were to click on any of these elements in here, it selects everything. You can see it turns it all blue. It is actually trying to do stuff to that entire Xref file. I can't delete one single line or one single part of it, and that's a good thing, right? That's a safety piece. Is I don't want to be able to accidentally break my survey file and lose things out of it that I need to know. Right, from that. So you keep it the way it is. We can touch it and we can see what's in there. And we can do a couple things. One is we can freeze layers. And so if I come up here and back to home screen, over to the layer section, here's the freeze layer command. So that's freeze. If I jump in here and I click on, let's say I don't like this blue line, what it's in there for, so I can click on that. Right, I just froze it. It disappeared from my view. It's still in the file. It's still in survey. But I don't see it now in this version of that. And this is only changing which layers are turned on in that Xref in this file, in this instance where we're looking at it. If I were to open survey straight from AutoCAD, that would still be in there and still be showing up there. I didn't actually change anything in the survey file. I just changed how I'm seeing it in my file. So I can change which layers in the Xref are on or off in my file, but it doesn't actually change the root drawing that is the Xref drawing. So in this case, survey didn't actually change. And I can get rid of some of these shrubs and stuff. And if there's some text in here I don't like, all right, I can jump in here and I can get rid of that. Some of this stuff that is just clogging up my drawing. I don't want to see it. Again, we're not actually changing the survey drawing. We're just changing how we see it in this drawing. No. So that's good. Escape to get back out of there. The next thing we're going to do is we can also find out what layer things are on in the Xref. I want to control it better. I have a command called xlist. I like this a lot. I use this one a lot. And I'm like, well, what layer is this? And I can click on it, and it tells me it's in surveys, vertical line, PDX pavement. And so the survey here, everything before this line, is what the name of the Xref file is, and then here's the layer name in that file. So it's in the file name survey, and it is PVX pavement. So that's pavement, existing pavement. That's what that stands for. I could do it again, right? X list, and let's see, well, what's this one? And that is on PVX concrete. So that's a pavement layer, existing concrete. It's in the survey Xref. If you have multiple Xrefs, it's nice to see that that front part, because it tells you exactly which file these line work that you're seeing is coming out of. If you want to go in and fix something or look at it offline, I guess, it can tell you how to find that. So that's pretty nice. I use that quite often. There. Today we're supposed to be drawing in we're doing a road design project. And so you can see here's a road. Here's the existing edges of pavement. If I wasn't sure what those lines were, I could use that X list. It would tell me what line layer that's on. Here's some of the right-of-way lines. Here's the houses. Here's the sidewalks and such. And we're supposed to be putting in a road here and designing the radiuses on it. Yeah, pretty simply. First off, we're going to draw in the edges of pavement, and I'm going to create new layers. So I'm going to come here, my layer command, and I think we're supposed to put these on EOP layer. And I'm going to change the color, and I think it's supposed to be green, and it is supposed to be 8.3 millimeter. There we go. And I'm going to make that active. So now that's my active layer. Get this back out of the way. And I can come in here, and these are the center lines. These white lines are the center lines of my roads. Here's County Road 20, here's County Road 111. And I'm going to draw over the tops of those. I'm going to hit line, and I've got my snaps on, and I'm just going to snap to those lines and draw over the top of it. If I tried to click on these lines and do something with it, right, I would automatically select the entire Xref, so I can't really use that. But to get around that, I'm going to actually draw over the top of it in my current layer. So the current file I'm in, Lesson 7 ICA, it's kind of like it's a piece of plastic I have laid over the top of this drawing in the background, which is survey. And so I can draw on the plastic. I can't really draw or do anything in survey, but I can draw on my virtual piece of plastic, which is laid over the top of it. So I can come here, I can draw on these, from that, and I can get those lines in there. And then I can offset these lines. And so we'll do that. Here's one of my favorite tools is offset. And we're going to draw our lanes in. Here's the center line of the road. So our lanes are 12 feet wide, so I'm going to offset 12, hit space bar, click on that. Click which side I want to offset to. Click on it again, click which side I want to offset to. Now I've got two lanes, basically 12 feet wide. And that's a good place to start, right? From that. And I can do that over here as well. That gives me kind of an edge of where my new road is going to be. On there. On this north and south, I think I said to actually draw over the top of the existing edges of pavement. So I'm going to come in here and snap to that. Snap to that. And do it again over here. There we go. And we'll do it up here on the north side. Right. So I'm highlighting over the tops of those existing pavements. Again, now these darker lines, or brighter lines, in this case the solid ones, are in my current drawing, Lesson 7 ICA, whereas everything else that you see in the background here is in the Xref file. If the Xref file line work and the things in there are bothering you and it's too hard to tell what the difference is, we can tone down the Xref, and we can do that by we come over here to insert. Here's my reference. I can expand that. I can change the fading in the background of the Xref. So I think quite often it starts at like 10%. So it's really bright, right? It's hard to tell the difference. If I change that fading and slide it down here, usually like 50% is more where I like to be. If I can type it in, sure can. 50%, right? So that really dims that down, and now it's much clearer which lines are in my current drawing and which ones are Xref. The Xref ones are very dim, whereas the lines in my current drawing are much brighter. So it's a nice feature, right, to be able to tell the difference in that. So it's actually only like the last 5 years they've had that feature, so it's kind of nice from there. Right, so I've got that in, and then now according to instructions, I'm going to put in my radiuses on these corners and on these obtuse angles, these larger angles. The radius is supposed to be 120 feet. On the acute angles, over here, the radius is 60 feet. And if I go back to my home screen, the easiest way I know to do this is use the fillet command. You can draw arcs in, you can do it yourself, and you can snap to it and keep all your tangents in there. It's kind of hard. Fillet does it all automatically for you, so that's what I usually use. So I'm going to turn that on. I'm going to make sure the trim setting is set to trim. And so I set T for trim, and accept trim, and now I'm going to set the radius. And my radius right now is at 0, and I'm going to set it to 120. And now if I come here and do my fillets, hit that, and hit that, all right, it automatically draws it in, trims them up nice, it doesn't leave anything. Everything is tangent to each other. It's great. And I'm going to do that again to this side. I just hit spacebar to repeat the command. And it remembers the radius from last time I used it. I automatically got that. And now these ones up here are radius at 60, so I need to hit that. 60. And radius, whoops, fillet, radius 60. And get that. And repeat that command. There we go. So there's my edges of my pavement from the lanes on, this is camera 20 and camera 11, so we're connecting it all together. Here's my little radii here so the cars can, trucks can make the corners on that. That's my new design. Next, we're supposed to make a new layer. Drag this thing back over here. And this time we're going to do an edge of shoulder, EOS. And EOS is going to be a different color. I think it's cyan. And I don't remember what the line weight is, but you can check that. It might be 0.30. I'm going to make it active now. So our new stuff is on that layer. And my shoulder is supposed to be 4 feet wide. I'm going to use the offset command, another one of my favorites. And I'm going to do the offset 4 feet. And I'm going to grab that line and that line, and maybe up here. All right. And I can do all my offsets there. Isn't that nice? There. Now, because I'm offsetting a line that was on its own layer, it stayed on that layer. It didn't move to my new layer. And so I can use this other command. Under layers, come down here. This one with the little green check mark at the top of it is changed to current layer. And anything I click on here is going to move to my current layer. My current layer is EOS, and so now it's turning them to cyan versus before they were green. From that. Oops, apparently I got out of it before I needed to. So I'm going to select them again. Sorry about that. And great. Go back to home, layer, move to current layer. Now it held it tight. So now these are the outer ones, the shoulders are cyan. And that looks nice through that. And I'll let you do the other corners. That's the main idea. So this is in model space. The next thing is, well, if we're going to communicate what we've got and we want to get it to a contractor or to our coworkers or to an elected official, right, we're going to need to be able to make a sheet for it and print this out, take us with us, show people what our idea is. So I've drawn this in here. We've already got the title block in here, nice big one. Do that, and already set the scale. And you can see what we've drawn in here. So here's our, and again, we can see the Xref in here. We can see the edges of our radii. Each corner on that, that's great. We want to do some work on this, and so we're going to cut a corner out of this in the viewport and have a little blow up area here at the corner so we can see where this house is and see how close we are to the house. And we're going to add dimensions in paper space. So again, I mentioned this in class before. We like to do dimensions in paper space so that they come in at the right scale. If I were to draw the dimensions in model space and then I change the scale of that sheet, or I had multiple sheets using the same, looking at the same corner, I could really screw things up. So we don't usually put text or our dimensions in model space. We put that all in paper space. Let's go back here to the layout. I'm going to want to do that in paper space. You can tell over here I'm on paper space right now. From that, First thing is that we were going to clip out a corner. Hopefully you remember how to do that. There's a VP clips command, right? VP clip, it is. And what's the viewport I want to clip? Well, again, this viewport is hidden underneath this kind of weird burnt orange line. I'm going to highlight in there and grab it. And I'm going to do polygonal. And now I'm going to give it the new boundaries. And so I'm going to clip out that corner. I'm going to drop down here. Hit that. And C for close. And we have carved out a little corner now out of that corner that we were in. And now I'm going to add a new viewport in there. So I'm going to do viewport. This one is, and I'm going to do a single one. Okay. And where is it? It's going to go there, and I just drag over here to make my box, and there's my new viewport. And it automatically does zoom extents. So you can see everything that's in model space in there, and that's not what we really want. I'm going to double click in there to highlight and take it into model space, and I'm going to zoom in on this corner. And there's the corner I want, and I want to set that to be a 1 inch equals 10. As I recall, it's in your instructions. And so now it's at a set scale. Oops. Hit paper space or click out of there, and now I've got that. And now I can start putting in my dimensions and my annotations. So I'll go to annotate, and I'll probably use, a lot of these are going to be aligned, and I can zoom in here, and like I say, I want to know what the width of the road is. I can snap to those things. So that's a nice thing with the Xref. I can even snap things in the Xref and also in the drawing, and I can start adding in those layers. And I forgot, one of the instructions is we're supposed to use the layer named CE151 for all of our annotations, so that was on the wrong layer, sorry. And if we come here, CE151 stands for instruction annotation. Make it active. And then I can get rid of this. And that one that was on the wrong layer, I can fix that by using that same command. I come back over here to home, layers, move it to the active layer. And that's the right color. It should have been either white or black. Depending on your screen. And there's quite a bit of annotation we want to put into here, and I'll let you look at the instructions. Sorry, go back to annotate. One of them is like the radii on the corners. I can click that line. I can throw in my radius there, and so forth and so on. There's quite a few that we want to add in there, so just look at the examples and the instructions, and you can work your way through all those annotations that we need to add into it. Let me see if I've forgotten anything important in the instructions here. I should have used a layer named SH Viewports when I did all the layer stuff. Sorry about that. I just used whatever was active at the time. Other than that, that should be about it. When you do the homework then, for today, you're going to do the last homework you did, which was redesigning the computer lab. But you're going to now make a file that just has the outlines of the walls on it. And then you're going to use that as a reference into a design drawing that you're actually going to draw in all the little tables and chairs and stuff in, or the desks in there, move around. But the wall shape, the wall outline will be in an Xref file, right from that. I think that covers all the basics for doing this Xrefs. Again, we use Xrefs a lot, and we're only doing a single reference in there. Like I say, most commercial drawings, most official work, you're going to have probably 2 or 3 or 4 or even more Xrefs on all at once in there. And it's like I say, it's a really useful tool. I think any place you work as an intern or in your first full-time job, if you're in CAD, it's probably going to be a lot of things that are Xrefs in there. So it's an important thing to know on that. All right, good luck.